Hello, it's a great honor to present the conceptual design scheme for the Pardis project as proposed by our design professionals in SEPID team. To come up with a design concept for Pardis Community Center, we studied the project context in terms of the quadruple bottom line of community well-being, which consists of cultural vitality, environmental sustainability, social equity, and economic prosperity. Within each scope, we identify the existing challenges and opportunities and try to craft a regenerative vision for the project. Given that Aleppo is a minority group of Iranian Americans striving to keep their culture alive through social, cultural, and educational activities, we envision their community center as a building that represents their culture and with a welcoming atmosphere to draw people inside and create meaningful interactions among them. In order to achieve this, we started the design concept from introvert geometries derived from historical Persian architecture, such as Chartabi and central courtyards, to put an emphasis on interactions inside the building. We then opened the geometry and made it welcoming and transparent to the outside by cutting through the mass between the courtyard and the street, and also by creating two main axes and intersecting them at the center of Chartabi, where lobby is located and designed in a HD-like form. The main north-south axis invites people inside, gives them a nice space to stop and socialize, and shows them a glimpse of the project upon entrance through the two intersecting aisles. We use this geometry as a basis for the space layout planning by organizing the school zone and the recreational zone along the east-west axis, while placing the ballroom and the service area along the north-south axis. We also incorporated other traditional Persian architecture elements into the building design concept based on their applicability in community center buildings, as well as Washington State's mixed marine climate. Examples include ravak or colonnades to create semi-open spaces that extend the inside circulation into the landscape, protecting it from the heavy rain of Seattle area. We used mushabbak or perforated brickwork between the courtyard and the street to create a sense of privacy and transparency at the same time. We also incorporated handmade tiles with its familiar historic patterns into the exterior as well as the interior of the building to bring its symbolic and mystic vibe into the architecture. By repeating the arched roofs along the east-west axis, we created rhythm, movement, and a manifestation of the beauty of ancient Persian architecture into the building facade. And finally, when possible, we connected spaces through triple doors called sedari and without corridor, as used in traditional Iranian architecture. To come up with a design concept for the project landscape, we used several historical elements from Persian Paradise Garden, including a centrally positioned water fountain, pedestrian routes covered with creeping plants, and flowers selected for their fragrance. The landscape is considered open to public, inviting them to enjoy the garden and to get to know the activities that are presented at the community center. The project's design concept celebrates nature, and especially light, due to its significance and scarcity in Washington climate. This is mostly achieved by creating large windows and clear stories in all directions, which would bring in lots of natural light, frame the beautiful sceneries around, and create contrasting light and shadow patterns inside. Now let's get to the environmental sustainability aspect of the project. The main environmental issues that we try to tackle in our design concept include global warming and controlling the greenhouse gas emissions, materials and resource management, stormwater management, and biodiversity. Here are our proposed strategies in addressing these challenges. We used three main approaches to reduce the building's energy consumption in the conceptual design phase. First, climate-responsive design through strategies such as east-west building orientation, maximizing south windows, and providing opportunity for cross-ventilation. Second, by planning for on-site photovoltaic panels on the south-facing roofs of the ballroom and the classrooms to generate at least 30% of the building's annual energy consumption. And third, by providing bike racks and shower facilities on site to encourage bike rides. As for our next environmental strategy, we chose to work with brick as the main material for cladding and interior finishes. Brick is made from most abundant natural ingredients, is recyclable, has minimal waste, requires minimal maintenance, and offers superior moisture control, fire and wind protection over other cladding materials. We chose sustainably harvested wood for the building structure, which is among local structural materials with least negative environmental impact. We're also using double glazing for south-facing windows and triple glazing for all other windows to conserve energy. As for the interior finishes, we chose to have the structural and flooring materials exposed as much as possible to minimize our use of material, prevent delamination, and extend the system's life expectancy. We also chose to capture and treat the site's stormwater runoff from 90% of the average annual rainfall events using strategies such as rain gardens. The rain gardens can also help with increasing the biodiversity of flora and fauna within the site. A rainwater harvesting system can also be implemented to collect, store, and reuse rainwaters from the roof. Now let us briefly touch base on social equity-related approaches. One of the strategies we incorporated in our conceptual design with this regard was to make most building spaces as well as the landscape areas accessible for all age groups and people with disabilities. We also envisioned spaces that encourage kids to run and explore without fear of damaging the building or needing to be quiet by placing the recreational zone away from the ballroom and the educational zone. The last but not the least important factor in designing the project concept was economic prosperity and resilience. Here are some of the few strategies that we used to achieve this goal. First, classrooms and meeting rooms are designed flexible by using acoustical folding partitions between every two classrooms. They can be joined together to allow for a bigger space or change in size to allow for different number of students. The next strategy was use of low-tech materials and systems to require minimum maintenance. The gazebos, ravals, and all the semi-open spaces designed in the project, as well as the provision of natural ventilation for all of the spaces inside, make the community center more resilient in dealing with pandemics and airborne diseases. And lastly, having food gardens within the landscape not only helps with building resiliency in terms of having immediate access to food, it also helps in teaching students to take care of plants and trees and grow to become responsible environmental stewards. At the end, we would like to recognize the importance of community participation in confirming these goals and perhaps setting out new objectives for the project. It is only through an engaging integrated design and construction process that we can create the required buy-in from the community and a sense of belonging to the project that will drive the project to carry out its social, cultural, and environmental mission.